Anyway, I'd like to welcome you to the June 1st, 2022 City Council meeting. Roll call officers. To my left, Dee Cragen, Jason Upchurch. To my right, Heather Newsom, Caleb Stapp. Community Service Director Roger Krieger. To my left, Debbie Cragen, City Clerk Treasurer. I'd like to ask you to stand for the invocation tonight, and it's by Deacon Joe Nicholas, and then remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
I stand here and imagine me standing in front of the podium that the mayor's been promising me. Scripture says that where 2 or 3 are gathered in your name, so you are in their midst. So, Heavenly Father, thank you for enabling us to gather for the City Council meeting on this beautiful, warm day. May you shower your abundant blessings on our mayor, other elected and non-elected officials, and those who are in attendance. Prepare our hearts for all the items on tonight's agenda. And let everything discussed during our meeting align with your word, and may its members speak with humility when presenting their ideas. Finally, renew each of us with the strength of your presence. And we ask this in Jesus' name as sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and in your love. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Deacon, thank you. Item 4, approval of agenda. I have an amendment. Under item 6, new business, I would like to take item C and put it to D, and in C's place, Fire Marshal Jared Harms.
Motion to approve is amended.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 5, approval of May 18th, 2022 regular council meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments by the council? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 6, new business. Letter A, change order number 8, Crawford, Colville Roundabout and North Colville constructed and contract quantities, delivery area. Roger.
So if you look at this, this basically is a change order to align what we actually spent on Crawford Avenue with what we planned or what we contracted to spend. Basically, it's a net deduction of $93,000 plus, mostly from unit price items, less manholes, more rock, those combination of things. And so this gets us down to the numbers are all set so that when we close out the project with DOT, where it's right at the right numbers. So we need your approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
For the motion and a second. Comments or questions by the council? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I was just going to say maybe we could give them $10,000 back and they could level it, but whatever.
Item B, Deer Park, Washington Time Capsule Project Summary. With us tonight, we have Laura Chamberlain, who is on the Settlers Committee and is chairing this function. Laura, you have the floor.
I come up here,
You may.
my first city council meeting. So I can scratch that off my bucket list. Okay, so we are planting a time capsule at the fire station on October 1st. And it will be dug up July 26, 21, which will be the 200th celebration of Settlers Day. And I would like to quote a famous Greek philosopher named Anonymous. He said, "Great cities are built by those who plant trees under whose shade they know they will never sit." And that's what this time capsule is. We will never see it open. We do not know these people who are going to live here then. It will be opened at a event we're not invited to, but we will be making that event a fun time for them. And this time capsule, it's not everything. And what it isn't is it isn't going into the past of Deer Park and trying to gather pieces of history to preserve in the time capsule. That's a good idea to do, but that's another group of people in another way. This time capsule is, it's not a treasure chest, it's not full of valuables, but it's just a snapshot of us today, because we are going to be the ancient ones when they open it.
Yes.
And they will be curious about us. And so it's just a snapshot about who we are, like a gas receipt. And Joe said a vaping pen. And I thought maybe some hairstyles and tattoos and things like that. But it's just a snapshot of us today.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, whether it's way in the past or today.
Yeah, and there might be a few things in the past that we would want to include
Right.
and springboard forward. But it really is not going to be then.
Right. It's going to be here and now, and that's what we can focus on to preserve.
Right,
So-
yeah, we're preserving now.
Fantastic.
And it's just everyday things that we don't even know about that are going to be funny, laughable in 100 years. Like a gas receipt, they might say, oh, they used gasoline, or they were lucky, they had gasoline, who knows? Yeah,
Who's your partners?
on the committee.
No, who's your partners? And just,
The three entities?
Yes.
Okay, this is Settlers Association, the Historical Society, and City of Deer Park, and then the fire station, because they're going to be babysitting this capsule for the next 99 years. Yeah, so they really have the hard job. A few ways that the public can be involved is right now the schools are writing essays. And I have received some essays, and the students are writing about Deer Park today and what they think it's going to be in the future. And then one essay will be chosen from each grade level. And this includes homeschool and homelink. I just don't know how to contact them. But one will be chosen from each grade level. And then the winner will have their photo and bio and their essay included in the time capsule. And then we'll announce them at the Settlers picnic, and they'll have a little award of some sort, I don't know what. And another way would be people can sign the guest book. Everybody that comes through the Historical Society booth where we will be set up, they can sign a guest book, their name, and then that'll go in there. And also, we were going to allow people to put their business cards in. And we thought that would be good because there's a lot of information on business cards. And those businesses might be obsolete in 100 years and very entertaining. I don't know. We were going to charge $5 to put business cards in, just so people don't say, yeah, sure, you can have my card, and be disrespectful. If they really want their card in, they will pay $5. And then the coolest part, this is what separates our time capsule from every other time capsule, literally, that's ever happened. And that's because of technology. But what we're going to do is we have this printer. So this is a Kodak printer. And this port right here is for my cell phone. And so when people come by the booth, the Historical Society booth. It's $10. They can have their picture taken. I'll put my cell phone right here, and then the picture will print out. And the picture is laminated. It's not laminated, it is a laminate because it's printed in layers. And it's supposed to endure for 100 years, waterproof, smudge-proof, fade-proof. Of course, it's going to be 4 feet down. It's not going to fade. But then when they get their picture taken, then these envelopes I'm going to have to make because it has to be 100% cotton paper, no acid, no langnin.
That's fine.
Yeah, that woody stuff.
Yeah, good.
Okay, for example, somebody comes by, and so I took a few pictures here just to show you how it works. So I took that off my phone. This is my family.
See that?
So these are just pictures that I took off with my phone. And I'm not sure if the archive pen will smear on the back of that or not. I have to see. So people will get their picture taken right there, and then it goes in this envelope, and then they will write a letter, a note, a brief note, because it's only going to be like this size, to somebody in the future. And so, can I use your pen?
Sure.
So they get their picture taken, they write their note, it goes in this envelope, and then, this is the best part, they get their, it's, what do you call that when you get your coat out of the...
Claim check.
Yeah, claim check. Okay, so this is number 120. So right here on the front is 120. And so then, in 100 years, 99 years, whoever in their family has this, and it says, is that cool? It says, redeem July 26, 2121, Deer Park, Washington, time capsule, and it has number 120. And so on that day, when they open the time capsule, these will be all together, and then Caleb, your great-grandchildren will have this number 120, and then they will get this envelope and see what you left them. So this part won't stay with the city, but everything else in the time capsule will.
That's unique.
Yes,
That's great.
it is. And the only reason this is able to be done now is because we can get this printed right away, and it's laminated so it'll endure. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So.
What kind of money are you asking the council for?
Okay, so the total cost, also there will be a stone over the area, and it says open July 26, 2121. And that has already been ordered and will be delivered to the fire station by October 1st. And so with the time capsule and the paper and pens and plastics and printer and I can't remember what else, $1,660 is what I came up with. And that's actually how much I spent on everything that we need. And the time capsule should arrive next week. And I'll probably need more paper because I'm going to have to make envelopes because we can't just put any ink, any paper. We have to be really careful, and the plastics. But, and I also need a sign for the,
Thank you.
for the Historical Society booth that says Back to the Future and has a little bit of information so people know what we are and that sort of thing. So
Round up.
$1,660 divided by 3 is what,
554.
yeah.
That's what she's asking.
And you need a motion for that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I move that we contribute the amount,
$554.
$554 to the Time Capsule Society.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
I think it's fantastic.
I think it's a cool idea. She came up with it.
Right. Fantastic. Good for you.
You thought this through, this is really cool.
All in favor?
Aye.
You got it, girl.
Anybody has any suggestions or ideas or thinks about something that should go in there that's pertinent to today, or if they have a little piece of history from Deer Park in the past, but it's mostly about today, but just let me know. I'm open for suggestions
You could take a picture of everybody in the room.
right now
Yeah.
and print it.
Yeah.
I was gonna do that, but I thought, he only gives me like 30 seconds to talk. And but I can do that.
What's that, talk?
Yes.
Thank you for your hard work.
Yes, thank you. Laura. So you got your money, girl.
Okay,
Good job.
all right. Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And everybody, whatever ideas you have, just let me know because this is going to be so cool. People are going to come to us because we are the experts now.
Item C, Jared Harms, Fire Marshal.
Good evening. Jerry Arms, Fire Marshal, Spokane 4. As long as my media is going to continue to work, I just got a quick little brief presentation as we get into the wildland fireworks season, just some things for consideration and where we're looking as we get into these times and dealing with public safety. And if you guys can't read this or see, I know it's kind of small on the screen, I can email it out and it can be distributed to you guys as well for future review. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, I'll get that to Mayor Tim and have him get that out to you guys after this. So as we start looking at this, the two graphs that you see here are our seasonal precipitation look for the country and our temperature outlook for the country. So as you can kind of see, this depicts July through September. And we're going to be below normal precipitation and above normal temperatures. So even though we've had quite a wet spring, June looks like it's going to continue to provide some moisture for us. The counties that you see listed here are still in what we consider a drought emergency. We're that's 75% of less than what our normal is. And even with the rainfalls that we've had so far this year, we're not recovered from the conditions that were brought on and present last year. So looking at June, like I said, June's looking pretty good for us right now. As far as significant wildland fire potential outlook for us here. As we move into July, it starts creeping up into our basin. Still looking pretty good for July, depending on how June shakes out at the end. And then August is where we get really drawn into everything. That's where our fire potential outlook comes in. So again, most likely to happen for us, our season's going to start hopefully around mid-July. Hopefully we can prolong that. I'm not sure how the weather's going to shake out and hold up for us. And then they're predicting a normal fire season, but when we consider a normal fire season, we really have to look at what our new normal is. So if we go through the past 10 years, so we're talking 2011 to 21 because we don't know what's burnt yet fully this year. 7 of the last 10 years are in the top 10 acres burned. Looking back how far? What's that?
7 in the top 10 out of how many years before that?
Past 10.
Past 10 years. So 7 of the past 10 years are in the top 10 for...
Wouldn't all of the past 10 years be in the top 10 if we're just looking at a 10-year slice?
So I'm just saying, out of the past 10 years, 7 of those 10 years are in the top 10 of most acres burned.
Historic.
Historically.
Right, which goes back how far?
Forever, yeah. As long as we've been recording fires.
Okay, so 50, 100 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Sorry, that's
Okay.
what I was asking.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I don't think either of us were computing what we were saying, so.
You're fine.
So with that, as always, Fire District 4 is going to be fully staffed. Whether we send resources out nationally or throughout the state, we're always going to maintain our staffing. So for our area, talk about the DNR staffing a little bit and what that means to us. Currently, they have 11 out of 13 of their engines staffed for this area. Everyone's under employment shortages right now. That number could dwindle. We could drop down fewer engines for DNR. It could go up just depending on how many applications start coming in, if they lose any other members. So right now we're down 2 trucks on the DNR side, and all of Spokane County relies heavily on DNR to fight our wildland fires with us. We do still have 4 Heights crews. So Heights crews.
Yeah, what's a Heights crew?
So those are the work release crews.
Okay.
So the work release hand crews.
Gotcha.
So we still have 4 Heights crews. They did add a 20-person hand crew, which is going to come in handy. That hand crew is going to be available, though, as a state asset. So they may be in this area, they may not. So that kind of plays into what I said with the basin starting to heat up for us. If we start getting some, catastrophic fires out in that area, in that region, some of these resources are going to get pulled over there. So this is just what we have today, not what we have tomorrow. You're going to have a Type 2 helicopter, one here in Deer Park, Chewelah, and Electric City. Again, state assets. They can go where they're needed. And then the fire bosses are going to return to Deer Park July 1. And then just kind of give you guys a little bit on preparedness levels. So last year in July, we were at preparedness level 4. Currently, right now, we're sitting at a preparedness level 2. So this is just a brief overview, and you guys can read in more when I send this email out. The big thing to start considering when we get into that 4 and above is competition for resources becomes quite the competition. Resources are going to go where the fires are most impacting lives and property. So that's what I've got for you guys tonight on a brief update of what we're looking like coming into this season. If you guys have any further questions, I'm across the street Monday through Friday. I'd be more than happy to talk with you guys more in depth if you guys have questions.
Thank you. I know who you are now.
All righty.
When we were talking earlier, the Oregon fire costs, or what was the fire that cost $1.2 million for your facilities?
So the Hazard Hill fire total suppression cost was right about 1 to 1.5 million. That was in our fire district down 395 and Hatch Road. So that's just total suppression cost for manpower, aircraft, damages, all that stuff.
The city of Deer Park itself, do you see any areas where we could do some things preventatively to keep us from?
So preventatively, I mean, Deer Park, even though it's a city, it's still what we would consider to be real urban interface, really. City of Deer Park is kind of like a piece of Swiss cheese. Dense housing to open fields spread out through the city. Keeping everything mowed down, keeping everything greened up, and making sure that all that stuff's taken care of. As far as preventative maintenance and whatnot, it relies on the community as a whole. So people taking care of their lands. We're surrounded by a lot of county lands as well. Folks have large parcels, so it's like I said, it's a community effort. keeping things in check and monitoring each other.
Do we,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, do we have ordinances about like people not mowing their grass?
8 inches.
It's 8 inches.
Yeah, there's a period of time where Jake has to send letters out, or well, actually Jake and Jessica and Brandon get together and send letters out to parcels and for mowing and stuff like that
Sure.
every year. You know, it's usually geared around closer to the July 4th issues of what can happen if we're not careful.
Sure. That was gonna be something I asked. I know the fireworks issue is always a hot topic, unintended. So there's usually 2 issues. There's the public display and then there's the individual display. In terms of the public display, are there things that we could do in advance now to help prepare that field in that area so that even if we needed to make the decision to not do the personal display, we could still do the public display?
Yeah, we could, I can tie the DNR into this as well. And we can work on a community resilience plan for that area over there. Just historically where that's at, there's a lot of open land there. And, you know, just going back to, this is a whole nother topic, but we can talk about home ignition zones. So fireworks are just like an ember shower. And that's really where we see the most destruction of homes in wildland fires. It's not from direct flame impingement, it's from ember showers landing in flammable vegetation and decorations and products around the house. So with that being said, keeping the field as low as you can. And the big thing with fireworks is we can't really know exactly where they're gonna land. Wind, how they're packed. You know, there's factory duds that are going to take a off course, but keeping things well irrigated out there and keeping it mowed down is going to go miles for us.
We good?
Any other things we as a city can be doing to help? Sounds like you guys need to hire employees like most folks do. Any other things that we could be doing to help?
Not at this time. I think we're doing a pretty good job. District 4 is full staff though.
Oh, good.
So that's DNR's
Okay.
having the struggle, but yeah. No, District 4, we're fully staffed.
Good.
Got a wealth of personnel, so.
Good.
If you have any further questions, comments, I'm always open.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
Okay, that's item D, council interviews for vacant position. If I could have the 3 participants at the table here. Nick, Naomi, Jimmy. What we're going to do is there's no public input on this. This is all council. And what we're going to do, we'll start with Naomi, and then you will ask a question, you will ask in order, and then if we need to do a second round, we will do a second round. So your questions, then Naomi.
Okay. Naomi, what is one change that you would like to see in Deer Park?
One change. I'd like to have some work for young people to do and spend their time doing. Revamping the skate park or the pool. I know things are already in the works for some of those projects, but just definitely a place where, you know, there's something for younger people to do.
You good?
I'm good.
Jason?
You mentioned in your application that you experienced firsthand a city council destroyed city with one terrible decision after another. Just kind of curious, could you tell us what those decisions were? How would you handle those?
Yeah, so we moved here from Olympia, and I worked downtown for over 17 years. And it went from a place where 10 years prior I could take my kids out and walk around the, Capitol Lake and have them in the stroller. And the more the homeless population grew with the decisions the city council made, allowing them to camp, RVs, be anywhere. There weren't a lot of consequences for their open drug use, using the restroom on the sidewalk, violence, things like that. And it got to a point where I felt unsafe walking a block and a half from my car into my place of business. And it was direct result of their decision making, and it was pretty obvious.
Yeah. Okay. Are there things that you would like to do or see here in Deer Park to prevent that? Are there any?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I want people to get the help that they need, but I don't feel that it is compassionate to allow people to just live anywhere they want on the street, live in a camper in front of your house on the street. And I know there's a lot of mental health issues. It's a really big issue that no one solution will solve, but I think that we need to protect the citizens that do live here as well, and they should be allowed to feel safe where they live and where their kids are, where they work.
Good. Thank you.
Good?
For now.
Okay. Heather?
Collectively and separately, how long have you lived in Deer Park?
Almost 3 years.
Other than that, you weren't here before?
Correct. And never been here one time.
Really?
Really.
Okay, so what brought you here?
We had the opportunity, someone my husband worked with over on the other side of the state was retiring, and he offered for us to buy his business. So we both quit our long-term careers and went for it. And a friend of a friend knew someone who was renting a house here, and we were like, where's that? And so we're like, let's do it. So we really felt like it was the Lord's plan for us to come here, and so we did. We listened. Here we are.
I'm good.
Could you name 1, 2, 3 things that the government is doing that we should stop doing?
Oh boy.
I don't know, big picture.
Gosh.
And I know that's probably not the city of Deer Park. I mean, if you can think of something, sure. But I'm just looking for information on how you view the role of government. You know.
I mean, I would prefer smaller government and get out of the way of the people a little bit. I think people are very smart and resourceful and can make wise decisions for themselves and their families. I mean, how specific do you want to get it?
And then my other question would be, do you intend to, whether or not you're appointed this evening, do you intend to run for this position or one of the open positions next spring?
Yes.
That's all my questions.
Do we need to do another round? We good?
I'm good.
Jason? You have another question?
I think I'm okay.
Heather?
I'm good.
Caleb? Next up, Nick. We'll start with you, Dee.
Okay, Nicholas, I won't touch your last name.
I will. How do you say it?
You can call me Nick. Minzer. There's a couple extra letters
Minzer?
for no reason.
Okay.
That's simple. Okay, what infrastructure needs do you see in Deer Park in the near future?
Infrastructure needs. Topic that's near and dear to me. I think we need more direct policing, whether that's through an improvement of our current contract or some other method. With the size of the town growing, we're going to need to improve our direct policing. National average is 2.4 officers per 1,000.
Right.
Where I worked, typically we are about 1 per 1,000, and I don't even think we're meeting that currently. So I think that's something that we need to take a serious look at.
Okay. But that's not really what I needed, but wanted by infrastructure, is water, sewer, parks, you know, that infrastructure.
Well, being relatively new to the city, I don't know what a lot of those infrastructure issues are because I've only lived here 15 months. So
You're off the hook. Thank you.
So, yeah.
We good, Dee?
I'm good.
Jason?
So obviously catches my eye that you have, you know, in your thing, you say you have nearly 29 years of police work in, it looks like all areas. and especially given the last week or so of shootings, we just, another one, today in Tulsa. What are, and you just mentioned some of that, what are, what assets would you bring to the table as a council member understanding some of those things? Are there is there information as having worked in police work for 29 years that you think would help us to understand? We're considering a police department now. We'd like to hire Debbie Dennis here, of course. But how would that help you as a council member? Would it help you?
Well, not only did I have the 29 years worth of police work, including tactical experience, I also own a small company for the last 15 years. It's been traveling around the country teaching police and military how to respond to active shooter events. And I've been doing that for quite a long time. There's always things that we can do, schools, big businesses, soft targets is what I call them. Basically, they're unprotected, things that you can do to minimize or mitigate danger areas, and all those things can be looked at on a case-by-case basis to how to mitigate those problems. So,
okay.
And a lot of that, some of the current issues that have been in the news could have been resolved with better training.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's all I have for now.
You're good.
For now.
Heather?
What's your communication style?
Direct.
Direct?
I call them like I see them.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick, what are a couple of things that you think the government is currently doing and should stop doing?
I don't like the government messing with firearms.
Okay.
I'm a big Second Amendment guy. I've been involved in shooting sports across the country for the last 20 years. And I just don't think that's something that the government needs to be messing with. I'm all about smaller government, less taxes. I want to keep more of my money, don't want to give it to the government. So that's about it.
That's great. And what's a small town or city that you admire? And why do you like that town?
Well, I love living in Deer Park. I've only been here 15 months, but I'm proud to call this home. I lived in Marysville previously for over 30 years, mostly because my employment required it. But that town grew from 20,000 when we first moved there to over 60 by the time we moved in. With that giant growth came a lot of problems. I like the small town feel of this town, and I want to do anything I can to be part of the process to keep this town a place that people are proud to call home and want to raise their kids and raise their grandkids and be proud to live here.
And then I would just ask if you intend to run for an open position next spring as well.
I'm certainly open to that.
Okay.
I think a lot of that just depends on how, if I'm selected, how the process goes, and I'm not against that idea at all. I know it's not all going to be butterflies and rainbows, but we'll see how it goes.
We need a second round?
I don't.
You good? Good?
May I just ask one?
Yes, just one.
So Nick, you've only lived here 15 months. Do you feel like that's long enough to know our city to represent us well?
Well, I think only being here 15 months puts me in a position where I don't have any preconceived notions or ideas about anybody or anything, and I see that as a strength because I don't have that. Even though I haven't been a long-term resident, I don't have any preconceived ideas about how the city's run, who runs it, or how it's run, or anything. So I'm open to working with anybody and everybody that wants to make this a community that people want to live in.
Good. Heather? Good? 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 Jim, you're up. Dee, you got first question.
Okay. Jim, How can the customer service training you have help when communicating with both fellow council members and the citizens?
In customer service training, you learn to listen and you learn to communicate back and forth, find common ground, build from that as to what's best for the customer and for your company as well. Applying it to the city, it would be talking to residents, hearing what they have to say, which I have an opportunity as I drive around town. I talk to them quite a bit. Finding out what their needs are, working with the council to find common ground to meet those needs, and developing from that point forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. Jason, you're up.
Jim, in one of your paragraphs here, you talked about having a vision for the city and its future. I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit. What's your vision? What do you see? Not in like big, highfalutin, but like specific.
When we first moved to Deer Park, Jason, what attracted us to Deer Park was we came in just, I wanted to see what the town looked like. Now this was almost 20 years ago. When I came in, we drove past Parents Field, and there was a lot of parents out there with their kids playing soccer, and people waved to us. And I just had a sense of community, strong community. That's what I'd like to see for Deer Park. If you can get people waving to each other, they're going to be watching out for each other. So let's build a neighborhood watch program, which is very easy to do through the neighborhood watch coordinator, and get that sense of community back in with the people where people feel comfortable waving and talking to a stranger. As we lose communication, we lose a connectiveness with each other and with the community. So that would be my vision, is to see us go back to where people are comfortable, they're happy. And I'm seeing more people in the park, more families out in the parks. And we live next to Country Club Park. Okay, now we've been seeing families out there playing soccer, having picnics out there. That's what I want to see in every park. And people are just going up and talking to each other at the park, even people that don't know each other. That's a vision I have. A strong community. We have a small town feeling, and we can keep that. Small town feeling doesn't have anything to do with the number of residents. It has to do with how people care about each other. And if we can truly care about each other, we can do a lot. You know, the scripture says, Jesus said the two greatest commandments is to love the Lord thy God with all of my heart, mind, and soul. And second is to love your fellow man. If you keep those two commandments, then you'll keep all of them, because they all stem from those two. We wouldn't need any police if everybody would live by those two. In Deer Park, there's a lot of people that love Deer Park. There's a lot of people that love other people in Deer Park. We just need to get people talking again.
You mentioned growth. I know there's a lot of people who are very concerned with how fast we're growing. Do you share those concerns? Are you not?
Personally, I would like to see less growth. You know, I'd like to see us stay where we're at, but that's not realistic. That's selfish on my part. If somebody owns a large parcel of land, if I owned a large parcel of land, I might be tempted to sell it for a big profit too. There's my retirement, you know? So it's not practical. It's going to happen. But we can do it in a way where it's increasing our tax base, because you're getting more income, or real estate tax. Plus, the more people that live in Deer Park, the more people that are spending money in our stores and in our restaurants, and then that increases our sales tax revenue.
I'll pause for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
Sometimes you guys say stuff.
Well, that's why I say we'll do two rounds.
I actually need to think about a question because he answered what I was going to
What
go
you're
for.
gonna Caleb, you're up.
Jim, same general questions. What are 3 things government is currently doing that we should stop doing?
On the state level, they should stop making laws that are handcuffing our police departments. Let them do their job. Give them back their rights to pursue. Let them do their job. And I am against any kind of gun control, because it's our right to bear arms. And I don't think it should be forced upon us that by a certain date, we have to go all electric. Otherwise, you can't. And why do they want to do it? Governor Inslee wants to put a carbon tax on us, that no matter where you're driving your vehicle, you got to pay per the mile. So if you go up to Canada and go across Canada all the way to the Atlantic Ocean and back, you got to pay Inslee a tax for that. They shouldn't have no right to do that. Government should be smaller, and it should be based on what the people need and focus on this public safety and what's good for all of us.
And then the other question would be,
I'm sorry I got too passionate on that.
would you intend to run for a position next spring?
Yes.
That's all.
Good. Second round, D.
Not for me.
You got your thinking cap on, Jason.
I was just going to ask, you know, one of the things that we're talking about at City Council is, you know, incorporating technology, different types of technology. I was curious what your thoughts are on where we're at technologically, any areas you see that we should be improving.
I think we are advancing in our technology. And I think if we did meetings with Zoom, I could see a benefit to that. You know, especially if we were in a lockdown again. But if we're not in a lockdown, I don't see any point in that, per se. I don't see any reason why council needs to have personal emails at this point. With the town getting bigger, maybe at some point it will be. I think if we went to districts, then I think that would be extremely necessary. But I think we're moving forward.
Good? Good? Good. Thank all three of you. You may take your seats back here. Okay, next up item, you guys ready? Got your agendas? Item 7, resolutions, we have none. Item 8, ordinances, we have none. Number 9, consent agenda, we have 2 items on that. Letter A, approval of voucher claim check numbers 4302 through 4324, including EFT debits in the amount of $112,736.33 for the second half of May 2022. Item B, approval of payroll checks 14,617 through 14,650, including PFML 941 taxes and health benefits in the amount of $141,553.52 for the month of May 2022.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions by the council? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Item 10, council questions, comments, or reports. We'll start with you.
I have none.
Jason, you're up.
Despite what has been widely reported, Deer Park's Washington does not have a newest police officer. This is from Deer Park, Texas. I don't know if you saw this in the Deer Park Tribune. Says we got a new police officer. We do not, in fact, have that. I thought that was worth a chuckle. Other than that,
Caleb.
front page.
I can read the front.
A bunch of them.
Okay, item 11, interested citizens, oral communications, requests, and comments from the audience on unrelated agenda items.
First, I have an announcement to make. May was the month of mental health awareness, and a person with psychological background, I feel that it's important for that to be mentioned. This council is the only one in the region that failed to mention it, so what I've done is I've asked Phil Tyler there's a new program happening in the state of Washington in July. I've asked Phil Tyler, who is by far the most qualified person on this topic, to approach the city council. I think he's a very charismatic and informative person, and I hope he'll be accepted here in July. Second, there's something else happened that I'm very disappointed with the mayor and council. You had your members of the float community do an awesome float for the Lilac Parade. And the mayor and the city council, and again, this is the only council I'm aware of that didn't do this. You didn't promote them. You haven't thanked them. And so when I look at Deer Park, and I can say easily, this community has an anemic level of arts, for them to not even be worthy of your acknowledgement, I think is kind of a disgrace. So I hope at some point in the future, we can invite them over here and have them explain what they did. They finished in second place in their division, which is outstanding. But again, that parade is one of your best marketing things for your community, and it was just an epic fail. So very embarrassing. And another thing, as far as council reports, I'd like to see more of them. I think there's a lot of people on this council that do half the effort. I think they're a little bit more skilled than that. So there's a lot of things we need to talk about, and I just like this used to be a place of knowledge, the school. I think you have teachers rolling in their graves at all of this. I have nothing to offer tonight. I'm good. We got to be more informative, because the stuff I see on social media and the comments they make, pretty pathetic that we have a council that could easily answer all these comments and questions and address them. But when you don't, that's how all the rumors get spread and how you get a real toxic environment. So hopefully, as we move on to this summer, let's do a better job of being more community engaged. Because I really respect your department heads who constantly do their reports all the time. But then our council members who are paid to report have nothing. So those are my comments.
So in rebuttal to the parade, that part, I compliment those girls. Those girls were invited to settlers meetings, they were invited to chamber meetings. They are thanked.
But how about at city council where everybody sees them?
They have yet to come to the city council meeting. They will come to one.
Oh, okay. Well, that'd be nice.
But yes, I compliment them and I ask them how the results were.
Okay. Don't you think that would have been appropriate to do in front of the public at a city council meeting?
It's their comments, not mine.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Brandon.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else? Peggy?
As a person that's been involved in that float for 25 years at the beginning of it, I have to tell you, I appreciate you bringing this to the table with so much passion, but I also don't feel that they deserve the chastising that you did, because I believe in getting good things with sugar, not by chastising. I appreciate the passion.
Okay. I stand by my comments.
And I understand that, but these people have been supportive of that in other ways that you may not have seen just here, but I've been involved in the chamber and other aspects of it that you have to.
But it's important in a community that they get recognized.
I agree, and in regards to that, since May is their busy month, they don't usually get really involved in this stuff a little bit later because they are focusing on Wenatchee, Apple Blossom, the middle stuff. So give them a little bit of time.
No, I'm not upset with them. I'm upset with the council.
I do want to bring out the fact that the question I appreciate with the infrastructure, the question to these candidates, but the big part, like Jason and I have talked about, and you understand, is what is happening in this community as in that light industrial and how important it is to go there. And I appreciate that. So I just wanted to say that tonight on everybody. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Tom?
When are you planning on opening the swimming pool?
Usually July 1st.
Yeah, usually right around the 1st of July.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brad.
And what's the lifeguard situation look like?
We're sitting good. Brad, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think we have 6, and the manager is returning from last year. So, and I believe I had one more phone call that they're going to bring in an app. So we'll have 7 plus the manager.
Is that enough?
Yes.
Yep. We have 2 guests over here. Would you introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name's Angela. This is Kenny. We're from Eastern Washington University in the master's program for social work. So this is just part of one of our community projects, and we've been studying Deer Park for a little bit, and we are attending this meeting to write a paper about it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome.
Is there anything we can answer for you?
I don't know. I've never been to a council meeting before. This is my first one, but so far I like it. It's very, it feels together.
Well, you haven't been to an out-of-control meeting yet.
Come just after July 4th.
Go Eagles.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Hazel, you're looking at me.
I'm just looking at you.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. All right, next up, item 12, executive session. Review the qualifications of the applicants for the vacant council position under RCW 42.30.110, parenthesis 1H. We will take 20 minutes.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, item 13, possible action of the council to fill the vacant council position. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I move to appoint Ms. Naomi to fill the vacant city council seat.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Comments by the council?
I think you did the, oh, I'm sorry, we're going in order.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Thank you all for applying.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, appreciated everybody that applied and spoke.
Okay, so now we'll vote. Dee, how do you vote?
No.
Jason, how do you vote?
Yes.
Heather, how do you vote?
Yes.
Caleb, how do you vote?
Yes.
Welcome to the council.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You will be sworn in next meeting, June 15th.
Okay. So I should be here?
Yes, you would not be nice to go up. And then also you will have to take a mandatory class.
Okay.
Debbie will set that up for you on that. So, okay. Item 14, adjournment.
Let's go.